Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here. We're taking a look at question number 1, which says select the 3 sets of ordered pairs that would create a non-square rectangle on the coordinate plane. So you might not know what this word means. Non-square, just to clarify, means that if it's a square, then you're not going to pick it because they want just classic rectangles where not all the sides are the same in length. So let's start plotting, and then I want to remind you about a few things that we learned back in chapter 3 when we studied coordinate planes, and we're going to use the plotting of A to just help us remind a couple things and how we can even use that to get the distance between 2 points. So let's plot this. We're going to plot this first point, which is over 1 up 2. We go over 1 up 2. So that number right there, that order pair is a 1, 2. And then if I plot this, if I go over 1 and up 5, and I go left 4 up 2, left 4 up 2, so that's going to be right here. And go left 4 up 5, left 4 up 5, that's going to be right here. And I'm putting these coordinates down just so that I can make a point in just a second. All right, and now let's connect the points. And I think I'm going to use red to connect the points because we're probably going to be drawing a few rectangles on here. All right, so by the way, you see that that's a rectangle, right? It's a rectangle, so that's probably going to be one of the 3 that we're going to pick. Now, I just want to point a couple things out because this can help you realize some things. You might even be able to avoid plotting if you understand this. So do you see how, in this case, the x coordinates match and the y coordinates differ from each other? So if these differ from each other and they're in the same quadrant, then you can just subtract the 5 and the 2 to get the length of that side, which would be 3. And if you look at these two, see the x coordinates match, but these, see we have a 5 and a 2, they differ from each other. And if we subtracted those, we would get 3. So opposite sides of a rectangle are congruent, right? So you might be able to use that strategy by just sifting through the coordinates to see, what the distance is between, your vertical lines and your horizontal lines. Now, likewise, if you look at the horizontal line, so I put the little reminders over here. A horizontal line has matching y coordinates. See how the 5s match? And if here you look at the y's, the 2s are the same. So if you look at the x coordinates on this, so if we look at this coordinate and this coordinate, see how they're in different quadrants? And we know they're in different quadrants because the signs differ. This is negative, positive. This is positive, positive. When they're in different quadrants, then you can just add the absolute values of the numbers that differ from each other. So if we add the absolute value of this and the absolute value of that, that would end up equaling 5. And if you count this, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we could do the same thing here, right? If we added the absolute value of this negative 4 and the absolute value of a 1, that would be 5. Now remember, if it's a rectangle, and if you're talking about a horizontal line, the opposite sides would be congruent. Now, rather than plotting, if you want to attempt to just look at the ordered pairs and try to get the distance between the points, you could do that. But this is just a nice little reminder of something that we already learned when we looked at chapter 3. All right, so A is going to be one that we're going to pick because that does form a rectangle. Now let's look at choice B, and let me erase this. I'm going to leave the rectangle, and let's remind ourselves that this was A. This was choice A right here. I'll put that in there so we know. And if we start plotting point B, and how about I use blue for that? Let's go over 3, up 3, over 3, up 3. Let's go left 3, down 3, left 3, down 3. Let's go left 3, up 3, left 3, up 3. And to the right 3, down 3. To the right 3, down 3. And let's connect the points and see what kind of shape we're dealing with here. We'll use my line tool. Let's make it blue. And let's connect. So we have here, here, and here. Now, if we figure out what's the distance between the points, either using the strategy that I showed you before or just simply counting, if we count the units, see that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we count this line, if this is 6 also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since the distance going all the way around, these are all 6. So that makes that a square, not a non-square. So we're not going to pick that one. Let's put a big letter B in there so we know that that's what we're looking at for B. All right, let's move on. So I'm just going to put in an S that that's a square so we remember. All right, if we look at answer choice C, it's a -5. How about we use green for this? -5 up 4, 0, 4. So that means don't go left or right, just go up 4. Over 3 and then up nothing. Over 3 up nothing. So that's going to be right there. And then left 6 up nothing. All right, now if we connect those points, and again, allow me to use green here. Let's connect the points. And then we'll look at what we have. Now, really, what do we have? We have a trapezoid, right? We don't have a rectangle. We don't have a square. So I'm just going to put what it is over here. I'll put that it's a trapezoid. And let's put in the letter C, so remember that that went with C. All right, now what I did is I created another coordinate plane, and we'll do choices D and E down on this coordinate plane. So let's go ahead and plot. -2 would be left 2 and then up 1. So that's disordered pair. Over 4 up 1. Over 4 up 4. Left 2 up 4. Left 2 up 4. All right, and if we start to connect the points, and let's see if I can find purple in our lineup here. You can see that that does form a rectangle. So this was letter choice D, and that's probably going to be one of the ones that we pick, right? Because it is a rectangle. It's not what we call, a non-square. All right, and then lastly, let's plot letter choice E. How about we use red again? So letter choice E, our first point, or our first ordered pair, is a 1, -3. So if we go over 1 and then down 3, go over 1 up 5. And by the way, we could predict that that would be a vertical line just because the x coordinates match. -2, 5. And a -2, 3. And again, we should be able to predict that that would form a vertical line just because these two things match. And if we connect the points, just so we have the full visual here, let's connect the points. We'll use red. And if you look closely, you can see, oops, that one line's a little bit off. To adjust that just a teeny bit. All right, there we go. So that's choice E. Look at the shape of it. It is a rectangle, is it not? All right, so do you see the 3 that you have to pick? Because they want basically just your classic rectangles. So if you look back at D, see, let's look at D. That's a rectangle, right? And so is E. So how about I put an R next to it so we know that's a rectangle, and this is a rectangle. So hopefully you see which 3 you're going to go with. Good luck finishing this up.